Hello and welcome. Let me adjust this a little bit to weather school. I have taken it online and I have taken it outside in the great outdoors as long as it doesn't rain, right? Thank you so much. I'm going to try to do my best to teach you a little bit about severe weather today, and I'm going to take your questions. I have been all over the state, almost every corner of the state for the past 15 years going to schools. Granted, it slowed down quite a bit when I had my new schedule. But I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to talk about severe weather, and I'm going to take your questions. It's going to be interactive. So if you have a weather question, we're going to hold those to the very end. But I'm going to do this just like I do all of my weather discussions, my weather presentations that I do all around the state. And I always begin this off by telling you a little bit about myself. I know a lot of you are already, watch Channel 7, but I'll give you a little background information on me. Again, I'm doing this. This is what I've always done when I go to schools around the state. I was born and raised right here in Little Rock. As a matter of fact, I'm coming to you live from West Little Rock right now. I was born and raised about 5 miles that way. And anyway, I'm a graduate at 19. I'm going to tell my age. I'm a 1992 graduate of Little Rock Catholic High. I used to run studio camera for the school newscast, and I was the camera operator for Chris May. That's not a joke. That's a true story. When I was a freshman, he was the student body president, and I ran his camera. I wanted to go to school for meteorology. There's no school in Arkansas that offers meteorology, so I had to go out of state. And I didn't want to go too far away, and I thought, well, I narrowed it down to a couple schools and decided to go, well, you know what, University of Oklahoma, they got a good football program, so that'll be fun. So I went out of state, graduated from the University of Oklahoma in 1996, and I wanted a job where it was cold and snowy. I love cold and snow, although in light of recent events, my love for cold is kind of just waning away. Still love snow. So I got a job in Missoula, Montana at a TV station up there, KPAX in Missoula, Montana. I spent 2.5 years up there learning to ski, to fish, trout fish, fly fish, loved it. And I needed to get closer to home. So I wanted to not go home, but I wanted to get closer to home. So I got a job in Chattanooga, Tennessee at WRCB in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Spent 6 years in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Met my wife, and then all I wanted was to come home. And thanks to two people, Ned Permy and Randy Dixon, news director at the time, in 2005, I got that opportunity. And so hopefully this is my place for the rest of my career. And thank you very much. So now you know a little bit about myself. I'm going to show you a video. In this video, I've been wanting to update this for a long time, but this video was produced in 2006. You're going to see people on this video that you haven't seen at Channel 7 in a long time, including former Chief Meteorologist Ned Permy, Meteorologist Barry Brandt. Now Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt's on it. Meteorologist Melinda Mayo's on it. James Bryant's not, since I haven't had a chance to update the video. It's called Behind the Scenes. This video is about 6 to 7 minutes long, and after that, I'm going to talk about severe weather. I got videos that I want to show you, and then I'm going to take your questions. So without any further ado, since I can't bring all of you to Channel 7, I'm bringing Channel 7 to you, and I'm going to show you what it takes to do the weather on TV. From forecasting extreme weather to what will happen daily in your hometown, it's our job to predict and communicate it to you as fast and accurate as possible. Modern technology is making forecasting easier every day. I'm KATV Meteorologist Todd Yakoubian. This presentation will take you behind the scenes of Arkansas's most trusted weather team. We'll show you what goes into making a forecast, how we present it using the most advanced technology, and how we cover severe weather. It's the job we perform and take seriously every day for you. This is Behind the Scenes. The first forecast delivered daily on Channel 7 is prepared while you're asleep. Meteorologist Melinda Mayo anchors Daybreak.
a 2-hour-long morning show from 5 until 7 a.m. Several minutes each half hour devoted to delivering the first forecast thousands of Arkansans will wake up to Monday through Friday.
It's evolving between every show, between every cut-in that we do to make sure that the forecast is as up-to-date as possible.
Meteorologist Barry Brandt starts his day on Good Morning Arkansas beginning at 9 a.m. and Midday Arkansas at 11:30 a.m. Barry also forecasts and presents weather on Channel 7 News live at 5.
At normal hours, 8:30 I come in and just kind of do a little update of what's going on for the morning hours. Melinda's already been in, and Todd as well, doing some updates on the forecast. But then I look at new stuff. I'll just freshen up the forecast a little bit, take a look at what's happening actually, and all through the day that's what I do. I just kind of make updates to the forecast.
So I've got the evening and night shift, and the primary purpose of the evening and night shift, I think, is for getting the information out that needs to go out about the forecast for the next day and beyond.
And I work weekends, anchoring weather on Saturday morning daybreak. I also present forecasts on the evening newscast Saturday and Sunday. So how are the forecasts you see every day on Channel 7 put together? And what goes into presenting them to you? Several times daily, supercomputers ingest observations from thousands of places around the globe at all levels of the atmosphere. They collect the temperature, dew point, air pressure, wind speed, and wind direction. That data is used in millions of calculations. The end result? Computer model guidance. This is an example of one of those computer models. Knowing how to interpret the data is instrumental in making a good forecast.
We look at the upper level winds, and then those upper level winds and all the aspects of the atmosphere are projected out to 12, 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, and even on out to 7 or 8 days, even out to 16 days on one of our models, to just model what the atmosphere should look like.
So we kind of take all of those, put them together, and come up with our own forecast, decide which of those computer models we think is the most accurate in this situation.
Another tool that we use quite often is reading discussions from other meteorologists and weather services across our region, and we kind of get some ideas of what other forecasters are thinking as well. So we may have an idea on what the forecast might be, but it's always good to compare notes.
Once a forecast is put together, we use highly sophisticated computers to graphically show it to you at home. That's the satellite imagery, radar, and the 7-day outlook you see on Channel 7.
And all the stuff that you see on the air, I've actually drawn the graphics for, I've made the forecast for. I try to figure out ways to tell the story of the weather. I try to figure out if I can show the jet stream that day, or if I can show some product that will make it easier to understand.
My job primarily, as well as Barry's in the afternoon, is to go into our computer graphics system and visually show the public through animation what the forecast is going to be in the days to come.
Then it's showtime. Typically 3 minutes and 30 seconds are devoted to weather each newscast. To present the forecast, the meteorologist stands in front of a green wall. Electronically, the director takes the color green out and replaces it with the graphics we've been working on. The only way the meteorologist can see what he or she is pointing at is by looking in monitors positioned on both sides of the green wall. There is also a monitor in the camera.
I almost forget that there is a green wall there and not a map.
There's one thing you'll never see on Channel 7, and that's a meteorologist wearing green. Because if we did, the weather graphics would appear right on top of us. When severe weather hits, a typical day in the Weather Center quickly changes.
Severe weather, all the rules are out the window. You still do a forecast, but that's kind of aside from what you're really doing. You're on the air. If there's a tornado threat, and then tornado warnings begin to be issued, where there's actual sightings or actual indication that there is a tornado, we're going to be on the air.
Our 5 live Doppler radars show us where storms are live and where they're going right down to the city street. We also use the Viper Tornado Tracker. This technology allows us to view storms three-dimensionally. When the Viper indicates rotation within a thunderstorm, it'll place a rotating cylinder. This means a tornado is possibly occurring.
We use our 5 live Dopplers, satellite, and radar imagery from around the country and around the region. Gives us the opportunity to zoom in to any particular area around our region and show you where severe weather might be occurring.
And that's our look at behind the scenes. New ideas and technologies are constantly being implemented to give you what you want. An accurate forecast that's communicated effectively, and severe weather coverage that keeps you and your family safe. Thank you for making the Channel 7 weather team the most watched and most trusted in Arkansas.
All right, I told you that was an old video, but it basically showed a lot of has changed, hasn't it? New technology and everything from 15 years ago, and yes, I know, but a lot of those basic concepts still apply to how we do weather today. And standing in front of the chroma key wall, now you see things in augmented reality on Channel 7. So much has changed as new technology continues to be implemented. It kind of gives you a look back at how things have evolved in local TV. Now let's talk about severe weather. I'm going to have your questions at the end. I've got videos to show you in case anybody has questions about tornadoes or hail or clouds. I've got examples if anybody throws those questions at me, but I want to talk to you about something extremely important. And in light of the weather today, there's a risk for severe weather today. So this is very, very important to the kiddos that are watching us and even adults that are watching us from home. I know a lot of you kids out there, when you get home from school, you might be alone for a while till your parents get home, or waiting for your mom or your dad. And let's just say you're watching Channel 7. And you see on the bottom of the screen that a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for portions of Arkansas. What do you do? What does that mean? It's hard to believe. There are some people my age that still don't understand the difference between a watch and a warning, but we're going to make that different with your generation. Watch and warning. If there's a severe thunderstorm watch in effect, what does that mean? It means that we're watching. It doesn't mean that it's happening. It means we're watching for the possibility for severe thunderstorms. That does not mean it is happening. Now let's say that Pulaski County, Saline County, Faulkner County, one of the counties gets put under a severe thunderstorm warning. What does that mean? Well, we get thunderstorms all the time in Arkansas. And of all of you who are watching, there are more than 1,200 of you watching right now. Let's just say that all 1,200 of you watching right now is a thunderstorm. You're just one of those run-in-the-mill thunderstorms we get all the time. But there's just a small fraction of you who are watching right now, maybe 5% or less. Let's just say out of 1,200, there's 100 of you that are severe. Why would we call you severe? Why would we say you're dangerous? Why would we do that? We get thunderstorms all the time in Arkansas. All thunderstorms are dangerous because they produce lightning. But severe thunderstorms are doing something different. They're not your typical thunderstorms. All thunderstorms produce rain. All thunderstorms produce lightning. All thunderstorms have thunder. But why is it severe? Those make it dangerous. Lightning makes it dangerous and even deadly. But why would we call a thunderstorm severe? There's only 2 reasons why we would call a thunderstorm severe. Does anybody know what that is? Usually I have the kids are all raising their hands at this time. If a thunderstorm is severe, now, is a tornado possible? It could be, but there's only 2 reasons why a thunderstorm is severe. You have to have hail 1 inch in diameter or greater, or winds 58 miles per hour or greater. Those are the thresholds. Those are the parameters that professional and meteorologists and engineers have determined significant damage occurs. When that wind reaches 58 miles per hour and hail is 1 inch in diameter or greater. You can have hail dime size and winds to 50 miles per hour, and it's not severe. It's dangerous, but it's not severe. So what do you do when a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your county? Do you take cover? Do you run inside and take cover? No, you don't. All you have to do in a severe thunderstorm warning is stay inside and stay away from windows. That's all. And there's no reason to be scared. Severe thunderstorms are very dangerous, and you need to take them seriously, kids. But don't ever panic when there's any sort of bad weather heading our way. When there's a severe thunderstorm warning, all you need to do is stay inside and stay away from windows. And chances are you're going to be just fine. Now let's say there's a tornado watch in effect, and I think we're going to have one of those later today for Arkansas. We're going to have a tornado watch for portions of Arkansas today, probably northern Arkansas for sure. What does that mean? Well, that means that there's the possibilities for severe thunderstorms. And from those severe thunderstorms, tornadoes may develop. It does not mean it's happening. Just like a severe thunderstorm watch, a tornado watch does not mean it is happening. It simply means that the conditions are favorable for tornadoes to form from severe thunderstorms. Now let's advance this to that tornado warning, just like a severe thunderstorm warning. A tornado warning. What does a tornado warning mean? Does that mean that there's a tornado? Anybody in the comment section? Does that mean that there's a tornado? We're going to get to questions here in just a little bit, by the way. Does that mean there's a tornado? If there's a tornado warning issued, does that mean there's a tornado? The first thing to do is not panic. No! That will surprise many of you. That does not mean there's a tornado. Let me explain. I know you think tornado warning. There's a tornado. Tornado warnings are issued for two reasons. One, it's indicated by Doppler radar and one could be forming. There's a reasonable degree of certainty one is forming. That's the advanced warning we want to give you. So it may not be happening yet, but one could be happening at any moment, and you have time to take your tornado precautions. So it may not be happening yet, but that's the great thing about science, is that we know when there's the possibility for a tornado to form. So it may not be happening yet, but you need to take your tornado precautions. Now let's say that there's a radar, or there's a confirmed tornado. That's the other reason. A confirmed tornado on the ground. That's another reason why a warning would be issued. No matter if it's Doppler radar indicated, no matter if it's confirmed, you must do one thing. Stay inside, and you need to stay away from windows. Okay? Stay inside, stay away from windows, go to the interior of your home, and put as many walls between you and the outside. I'm going to show you a video, I hope, of why it's so important to put as many walls between you and the outside. So bear with me for this.
Wow.
This is a tornado from a year or two ago in Kansas, an EF3 tornado with peak winds of 140 miles per hour from our partners at Live Storms Media.
You guys hear that?
Pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like a damn freight train.
Sounds like a freight train on the ground for 29 minutes. You know what? There were no injuries and there were no deaths. These are scary. I know how scary they are.
No, we're not solving it. This is insane.
I'm going to show you a quick video. I'm going to pull that up here if I can find it.
Oh, wow.
And I may not be able to. I thought I had it, but I guess I don't. Yep, don't have it. See, this is one of the things about doing these things live. But I've got video I was going to show you of where a building was torn apart, but the walls were still standing on the interior. So if you go to your tornado safe place, and that's what I want you to talk to your parents about today. You have a homework assignment I'm giving you. I want you to find your tornado safe place in your home so that when you go to that tornado safe place and there's a tornado warning, chances are you're not even going to be hit by the tornado. It's so slim. But if you go to that safe place, you're going to be just fine. All tornadoes are survivable. Interior, lowest level, put as many walls between you and the outside. All tornadoes are survivable. If you have a basement or a storm cellar, great. Don't let anybody tell you that you should panic. Don't let anybody tell you that tornadoes are not survivable, because they are if you take action. And that's why we're here at Channel 7, is to make sure you stay safe. We want to be able to give you that warning so you can take action. Number one rule, kids, never panic. Number two, take your tornado precautions when a tornado warning is issued. Chances are you're going to be just fine. We can always fix your home, but we can't fix you. And that's our number one priority, is to make sure you are safe. That's when a tornado warning is issued. Now, I get this question a lot from kids. I'm going to get into the question phase about this in just a second. But let's say that, well, I know I get a lot of questions about how tornadoes form. And that's where I make what I call the tornado cake. All right, the tornado cake. Have your parents, your mom or your dad, have they ever made a cake and messed up one of the ingredients? Anybody? Have you ever made a cake And have you ever made a cake and you got that cake and you ate it and you're like, oh, that's just terrible. Let's just say I had a friend of mine whose wife, this will go nameless, who used salt instead of sugar. Ugh, that's just disgusting. Or maybe they didn't bake it long enough, or they forgot the eggs. The cake didn't turn out right, did it? It's the same thing with tornadoes. You have to have all the ingredients come together for a tornado to occur. And if you're lacking one ingredient, it's not going to happen. Sadly, in Arkansas, it happens quite often. What are those ingredients? Number one, wind shear. Fancy term you're going to learn today, wind shear. And that's a fancy term for winds changing direction with height. Let's say you're at the bottom of Pinnacle Mountain and the wind is blowing at you from the south. You get to the top of Pinnacle Mountain and now the winds are blowing out of the southeast. They're blowing out of a different direction. Well, that's wind shear. Winds which change direction with height. That's a little spinning in the air. That's one of the ingredients. Also, what's our primary moisture? Moisture is another ingredient. The Gulf of Mexico is our primary moisture source. If we did not have the Gulf of Mexico, Arkansas would be a desert. The Gulf of Mexico is what brings us these humid days that we have right now. That south wind coming off the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico produces rain in Arkansas and unfortunately severe weather. But without that Gulf of Mexico moisture, we wouldn't have the agriculture we have in Arkansas. The rice, the soybeans, and our farmers, our agriculture, we wouldn't be an agricultural state. So it's vital, our geographic positioning in the central United States and our proximity to the Gulf of Mexico to transport that moisture which provides rainfall for the farmers. And sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's not enough. It's one of those very difficult things of farming. So moisture, wind shear. What else do you need? You need something to lift that air. You need a mechanism, a trigger, like a cold front, a boundary, something like that to lift the air, to create those thunderstorms. Those ingredients, at least some of them, are coming together today. One of the things we're thinking, the instability may not be all that high. That's what we're hoping for. That warmth and moisture may not be high enough to produce severe thunderstorms. Will the shear be adequate to produce tornadoes today? So there's at least some potential. A low threat for tornadoes, but it's worth watching, especially in northern Arkansas. So that's the tornado cake. You have to have those ingredients. One last thing before I take your questions, because I think I've gone on long enough. One more thing. The EF scale, the Enhanced Fujita scale. Most of our tornadoes in Arkansas, you rank those tornadoes from 0 to 5. 0 is the weakest, 5 is the strongest. The overwhelming majority of the tornadoes in Arkansas are 0s and 1s, the weakest of all tornadoes. They're still very dangerous and they can be deadly. Most of our tornadoes are in that area. Arkansas has not had an F5 tornado since 1929. 1929, knock on wood. So it's been a long time that we have ever seen that. Let's hope we never do. We came close with the Mayflower Polonia tornado, Arkadelphia, back in 1997, March 1st. So we've come close, but we've never had an F5 tornado. The only state, very important kids, this is going to be on your test, Arkansas is the only state in the central United States not to have an F5 tornado since 1950. Let's hope it stays that way. All right, I'm not jinxing anybody. I've got videos that I can show. I know I had some. I thought I had loaded that one on there, but I didn't. I want to answer your questions. I don't want to go on too much longer. I've gone on 23 minutes. I usually save the last few minutes for questions. And there may be a little lag in what I'm saying, what you type in. But here's a question right here. Let me move this up just a little bit. How are hurricanes made? That's a great question. Hurricanes, the fuel for a hurricane is warm ocean water around 80 degrees or higher. So when the ocean water is 80 degrees or higher and the atmospheric conditions are great enough and there's calm winds above, thunderstorms begin to build and it creates a machine. And that warm ocean water is the fuel for a hurricane. Once that storm is removed from that fuel, it decreases in intensity. So once it's removed from that high content of energy, the ocean, it moves on land, the wind energy comes down. However, it still is loaded with tropical moisture and it becomes an inland flooding threat. That's what we get here in Arkansas that we had last summer with Hurricane Barry. Hurricane Barry, not our Barry brand. Hurricane Barry brought an incredible amount of rain into southwest Arkansas. It was the most ever from a tropical system. So those are the things that we watch for hurricanes making landfall in Arkansas. It's the torrential rainfall and at times even tornadoes. Oh, I saw a question here. How does hail form from Ashley? Well, I'm glad you asked because that's a video I think I've got. I thought I had them.
Wow. You guys hear that? You guys hear it?
Okay, I thought I had the hail video. I don't. How does hail form? I forgot so much. Hail, there's updrafts and downdrafts, and so these hailstones up in the cloud, there's a level which is below freezing. So in the cycle of a thunderstorm, the updrafts and downdrafts, the ice way up in the freezing layer comes down an ice particle. It melts, and water adheres to it, and then it gets thrown back up into the cloud. And with all that water that's collected around it, the cohesion of the water on the coalescence of it on that hailstone gets thrown back up into the freezing layer, and it freezes and becomes bigger. Then it comes down and does that cycle until it's too heavy for the thunderstorm to support it, and then it falls to the ground. And it usually melts a little as it falls to the ground. You can tell how powerful updrafts and downdrafts are and how cold the air is aloft and by how big that hail is. If you have big hailstones, there's some pretty powerful updrafts and downdrafts that are supporting those big hailstones and doing that cycle up in the cloud. How do you know when a storm will come? Well, we use our Doppler radar, our live Doppler network with that. We'll be monitoring today for the possibility for thunderstorms, and we can't tell you exactly when they're going to hit your hometown until they develop. And then we have a better understanding down to the minute of when they can arrive, a good estimation. So we track them using radar, a great advance in weather technology over the past few decades, and it gets better and better and better with new products and tools that we can use and we have available at Channel 7. Okay. What do you do if you don't have a tornado shelter? Interior of your home, no windows, lowest level. The goal is to put as many walls between you and the outside. I know a man in the River Plantation subdivision that was hit by that EF4 tornado, Mayflower, Valonia. It hit the River Plantation subdivision. His house was destroyed. The only thing left was an interior closet, and he went there, and he was fine. The house was destroyed around him, but he went to that closet, and it was the only thing left. He survived an EF4 tornado because he knew where to go. All tornadoes are survivable, and don't let anybody tell you they're not. Don't panic. Okay. Boy, these are flying by. I clicked on one and then here's a good question. Why is it so hard to predict snow from Carrie? Well, Carrie, if I told you today, snow is easy to predict, when it's going to snow. It's how much. So let's just say today we say that there's going to be a half an inch. No, let's just say there's going to be an inch of rain today, and we only get half an inch. Would you consider that a bad forecast? Probably not, because it rained. But now we got to convert that rain into something more visible, like snow. So let's say that there's 10 inches of snow for every 1 inch of water. So if we predict 1 inch of rain, of liquid, that would be 10 inches of snow. So if we say there's going to be an inch of water coming out of the clouds, and that's going to be converted to snow, 10 inches. But let's say we only get a half an inch. Well, that would be, a half an inch would be 5 inches of snow. We only got 5 inches of snow, Todd. You said there was going to be 10. Well, that's one of the problems, because you have to almost exactly know how much water is going to fall. And sometimes these snow bands can be very narrow. And so just the displacement of those snow bands means everything. If the placement of these is just a few miles north of what the computer models say, then one area that we forecasted to get 3 inches ends up getting 12 inches and vice versa. There's what happens to a tornado? If the question came up, if what happens if tornado comes? Mountains do not protect you from tornadoes. That's a myth. It's a myth. Mountains do not protect you from tornadoes. There's a lot of myths out there. Okay, these are flying by. We're going to wind down weather school. We've come down about to 30 minutes. This is about as long as I wanted it to go. And all tornadoes are deadly. All tornadoes are deadly. But like I said, you don't have to be a statistic. If you don't panic and you go to your safe place, chances are you're going to be just fine. And remember, we give you those tornado warnings, not because there's necessarily a tornado, but we think one is imminent. Channel 7, I want you to please download our KATV Weather app so you can get instant warnings. Always have a way to get warnings. Download that KATV Weather app so that you can have those warnings and those notifications set up, and it can wake you up at night along with NOAA Weather Radio. You want your NOAA Weather Radio to wake you up as well. You need 2 ways to get warnings, all right? So make sure you have the weather app and a NOAA Weather Radio. Meteorologist Barry Brandt, Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt, Meteorologist James Bryant today will keep you updated on channel7katv.com for the newest weather information, as there's the risk for some severe weather. I hope the kids out here, I see a question I want to answer. Have we ever had a blizzard in Arkansas? Yes, we have. Meteorologist James, it was in Christmas 2012. Meteorologist James Bryant, Meteorologist Barry Brandt will be there today. I'm just taking a couple of days off, and I'll be watching it from home. I'll be back in the station tomorrow, but I'll be on social media. There's that threat for severe thunderstorms today, and I want you to stay safe. So make sure you have a way to get warnings and stay with us at Channel 7 for any severe weather information. It's a low-wind threat for the most part, except northern Arkansas, and we need to watch that for you. You know, I had videos loaded on here, and let me just...
Wow.
This is a dust devil in Gould, Arkansas last year. Incredible, from Brian Emfinger, our photojournalist that shot this from Sky 7. Isn't that just incredible video? So in those hot, dry days, and you get rapid motion of air rising, you can get dust devils. And this was one of the most photogenic dust devils I have ever seen. Dust devils are not dangerous, except the dust will get into your lungs and make you cough a little bit, I'm sure. But no, they're not going to, and they could, if they call it extremely minor damage. But that's a dust devil in Gould, Arkansas last summer. Isn't that just absolutely amazing? See, I had all these videos showed for you that I wanted to share with you. Okay, so that's a dust devil. Let me see if I can find some other cool weather videos I want to show. Ah, water spout.
Close range. Oh, just ripped the roof off!
From our live storms we did in Long Beach, Mississippi last year. When does a water spout become a tornado?
Oh, wow.
When it leaves the water and comes on land. Look at that.
No, definitely don't want to go through that.
Don't ever chase storms. These guys know what they're doing.
Oh my gosh.
We're like feet from this thing.
You can see all the little, what are called multiple vortices, the smaller tornadoes, all within that main area. And that explains why some houses get hit harder than other houses. Why a roof is removed from one house and another house next door is not. Because there's these small little vortices that you see flying around that have an enhanced wind damage potential. So you see multiple vortices. So that's when a...
Look at those people in it. What? Those people are in there.
So it goes from land, it goes from water where it hits a water spout, and then it hits land and it becomes.
We got a water spout into a tornado.
Yep.
Careful for the debris.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Pretty amazing stuff here, isn't it? Let me see what other videos I want to share with you, some cool weather videos. Fog. Beautiful time lapse. We get a lot of fog in Arkansas in the morning with a moist ground sometimes, and this was video that I captured not long ago beautiful scene of fog forming and then dissipating over downtown Little Rock. Isn't that something? All right, let's see what other videos I've got. Choose file. There's a big misconception. A lot of people think that you should take cover under an overpass if you're on the road during a tornado. This is the absolute worst place to be. You see all these people getting in a tornado warning, taking cover under an overpass. The overpass acts like a wind tunnel, and the winds actually get increased where they are. So this is an absolutely terrible thing to do. Don't ever do this. You need to find a structure and get inside. If you can't, you point your car in the other way if you can and go the other direction. If you can't do that, get into a ditch. Point your car in the other direction and get out of there. But that is just absolutely, that is what we ask people not to do if there's ever, you're under a tornado warning and you're in your car. That's a good question. Kindergarten class asks, why does a dust devil have the word devil in it? That's a great question. I don't have the answer for that. Why does a dust devil have that? I don't know. That's a great question. That's just what they've always been called. All right. I think we've gone on long enough. Thank y'all so much for trusting us at Channel 7, the team with the most experience. Download the KATV Weather app and the news app for live streaming if there's ever severe weather coverage. And again, there's that threat today. Stay with us. I really, I think there's some danger today, but it's a very typical spring-like storm system, and I hope it doesn't get out of hand. Thank you very much for trusting us here at Channel 7, the team with the most experience.